Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone podcast. My name is Kathy. If you've been following the case styled as State of Idaho versus Brian C. Kohberger, then you know that next week is a very big week in the case. There are going to be a number of hearings on a large number of motions in limine that the state and the defense have filed in the case, most of which deal with the evidence that the state intends to introduce into the case. Is this evidence, whatever one is being argued, depending on what motion it is, going to be allowed to get before the jury or not? And since the state of Idaho bears the burden of proof at beyond a reasonable doubt based on the evidence that's brought in the courtroom, we can start to really appreciate just how important those hearings are going to be in the rulings that follow. They're scheduled to be entertained by Judge Hippler on April 9th and 10th of 2025. And so if you're around, you don't want to miss these hearings, because it'll just be interesting, I think, to see how both sides argue their motions, what Judge Hippler says in response, the follow-up questions that he may have, and any sorts of indications, any sorts of hints and clues that he gives as to how he may be ruling on the motions. He just has not ruled from the bench. He will always take things under advisement and then issue a written order later. Of all of the motions in limine, the one that I find most fascinating and extremely rare is the motion in limine regarding the alibi defense that the state has filed. Now, certainly there has been other hearings on motions in limine regarding alibi, but what makes this particular motion interesting is that if the court rules in the state's favor, you may see Mr. Kohberger taking the stand come this summer at trial, something that you rarely see happen, certainly not in a mass unaliving case that's so tragic and so catastrophic as this one was. Imagine if the state gets this ruling, seeing Mr. Kohberger on the stand and having to give testimony as to where he was on November 13th between 4 and 4:25 a.m., the time that the state has indicated the crimes occurred. That's the only time frame that matters. I know that there has been a lot of discussion in mainstream media, in various content creators' content, in different types of blogs, and on social media of, is this truly the correct time? Did these crimes really happen at that time? Might they have happened earlier? Might they have happened later? All of that's irrelevant with respect to this alibi motion, because the alibi requires that Mr. Kohberger give evidence of where he was at the time that the state alleges the crimes happened. That's the only timeline that matters for purposes of this motion. So it will be, I think, rather interesting to see how both sides argue, to see how Judge Hippler rules, and to see if this alibi defense is going to go out the window, or if Mr. Kohberger is going to be required to take the stand, because what the state's looking for is, they have argued that Mr. Kohberger did not fulfill his requirements under Idaho law concerning his alibi defense, and they want one of two things. They either want him precluded at all from introducing any evidence on direct or cross-examination going to a possible alibi, or in the alternative, if he wants to continue arguing and asserting his alibi defense, he's going to have to get up on the stand and give testimony. So the hearings, again, are April 9th and 10th. We will definitely be covering them and be providing updates afterwards and looking for those important rulings as matters continue to progress toward trial. This is Kathy. Thank you very much for joining us today.